super excited about our guest this afternoon. Yes, Have Some is partnering up with the Ghostbusters Containment Unit, our good friends Tom Henry, Matt Sanders, to welcome our very special guest today for the first time on YHS, Ernie Hudson. Ernie, how are you doing today?
I'm great. It's it's really a good time. I'm feeling good and really happy to be with you guys.
Well, thank you so much. So, I guess we should start off here. Where I'm in Atlanta, and then Tom and Matt are in California and Florida.
Right. I'm in Santa Clarita, California, which is an unusual place, but I'm working out here. So yeah. So California, out in the way out in the desert. It feels like anyway.
Cool. So yeah, you were mentioning before we got started that you're kind of getting back into the swing of things, and work is ramping back up. So I guess a good place to start is how has your 2020 been? Because I know it has to be a little bit different than you were expecting going into the new year.
Yeah, this is kind of a new whatever. Hopefully it's not a normal. Hopefully we'll get back to some kind of normal, but I have a feeling we'll never get back to the good old days. Work is interesting. I do two shows. I do a show called Family Business on BET Plus, and we're shooting now. We had shut down for the pandemic. I just started work Monday. Sorry, I'm a little turned around. And we just got back into production. A lot of protocol, it's weird. And then I do a show called LA's Finest that just premiered on Fox, and it's on Spectrum. And we're trying to figure out how we can kind of get back. So it's everybody's trying to figure this thing out.
Right. That was one thing I was going to mention. So LA's Finest had its broadcast premiere this week. And, a lot of people have had such a negative impact with COVID and the changing of schedules. But it's actually kind of interesting that because of the lack of new programming on Fox, this show that's already in season 2 on Spectrum is now going to have this whole new audience on broadcast
Right.
TV. So you kind of had a backhanded positive to come out of everything.
Right. Yeah, no, it's and it's great. Hopefully it'll do well on Fox. It certainly opens it up to a wider audience. I think it's a great show. But I will say season 2 it's 100% better than the first season, which, sometimes it takes a show a minute to kind of find its place. Not that the first season is bad, but the second season is really incredible. So hopefully it'll do well, and it'll be around for a while.
Cool. That's great. Well, congratulations on that. That's, the year you've won. We've all, we're longtime fans. We're longtime Ghostbusters fans. And the one thing you've always been adamant about as an actor is you got to get out there and you got to work and you got to do the work. And nobody works harder than Ernie Hudson. As a Ghostbusters fan, we know that. We know that in our hearts. So it's really cool that,
Well, thank you.
that you got, this opportunity to, be out there. 2 shows. Not a lot of actors have 2 shows, on TV at the same time. So that's great.
Yeah, no, it's a blessing, and I'm very, very thankful.
Cool.
Truly.
Cool. Yeah. So this year, Ernie, you do a lot of conventions, you do a lot of signings. You've kind of become the de facto ambassador of the Ghostbusters franchise. You've always been so connected with the fans. Because of everything going on this year, that you haven't been able to, be out there as much. And obviously, this year we were supposed to get Ghostbusters Afterlife, and it's now pushed back.
Right.
So now you have this opportunity. You can do some signings. You can work with guys like Matt and Tom, and really still connect with the fans in a more virtual atmosphere. So have you been able to participate in any of these like virtual cons? And maybe you could talk a little bit about what that's been like.
Well, it's certainly different. I did, I think, one with Derek Mackey and his Cool Waters. He had put something together. It's very hard with with this format, because it's not like, going to a convention, being there in person, being able to connect with people one-on-one. So I think everybody's trying to figure out how this thing is going to work, and if people are willing to, come aboard and sit through looking at a screen. So it's a little different. Everybody's trying to figure out. I'm trying to figure out how In all honesty, I'd gotten to a point just before this where I was a little burnt out. I didn't want to get on a plane. I just wanted time at home. I got my wish, not quite what I had in mind, but so yeah, I've been home for a while, so it's good.
I was curious, Ernie, along the lines with conventions, and we're autograph collectors and stuff like that too. Has there ever been an item that's come across that you just thought was awkward, or what is one of the most random things you've ever had to sign or been asked to sign?
I'm usually pretty open in terms of whatever the things that may not make sense to me. But if a fan is coming or save this thing, I know it's important to him. So, but I've signed a little bit of everything. I guess probably I'm just trying to. I'm trying to think of something that really kind of actually it's more the signing on the person, and then there's been a number of cases where they've taken that signature and got it a tattoo. So to tattoo the name on your body, that seems a little bit above and beyond. But like I said, I respect it, and but yeah, no, people will say just all kinds of stuff. But I try not to. As I get older, I try not to judge, and I try to appreciate if it's important to you. Hey, it's I can respect that.
That's cool.
Absolutely, yeah. I mean, it's got to be weird seeing your face tattooed on somebody, because I know there's a huge collection of Ghostbusters fans who've got Winston Zedmore tattoos. So that I'm sure the first time, you got to be a little bit taken back by that.
Yeah, the first time I was at a auto dealership, I was buying a car, and the salesman said, "Hey, our mechanic is a big fan. He has, a tattoo of you." And I'm like, "Really?" So he calls the guy in, and here's a guy who's probably 50 or so, not the kind of guy who you think would be a fan, but I realized in Ghostbusters there's no type of fan.
Exactly.
And he pulled up his leg, and his whole calf was my face, and and I was so in awe, impressed, and yet it was kind of, and I didn't know how to react because I didn't want to embarrass him. I didn't want to go, "What the hell is that?" But you just, so that's the hardest thing sometimes, is how do you respond to something that kind of catches you off guard? So I just, whenever I took the car back, I made sure he's the guy who serviced it. So.
That's funny. Yeah. Listeners of our show know that we have a story where when we were out in LA for the premiere for the 2016 Ghostbusters movie, we were walking through a hotel, and our other co-host, who's not with us now, Jake, he's got a tattoo of Bill Murray on his arm, and somebody goes, "Hey, is that Bill Murray on your arm?" And we turn around, and it was Annie Potts, and she's taking a picture of it. So yeah, you just never know. Lots of tattoos, but that's great. The question is, did you finagle some sort of discount on the car, since the mechanic was such a big fan? Maybe you get a little something off the top end.
Yeah, no, I don't get discounts.
All that for that. Right.
No, people, and I'm not a good negotiator, so that's okay. I think everybody should be paid for what they do, and
there you go.
It's all good.
Good.
There you go.
Sure. So, Ernie, I wanted to circle back to the convention question. So you mentioned you wanted a break because you do a lot of conventions. You're all over the place. What do you see kind of going forward? Is there a path forward for conventions in a post-COVID era? What do you see yourself doing?
I don't know what the post-COVID era is going to look like, because nobody's been really clear about what we're dealing with. I mean, there's been so many mixed messages, from it's not real to it's the most, catastrophic thing we've ever faced. There's been no really clear treatment for it. And so I think everybody's a little bit not sure. This distancing is just bizarre. The mask, I don't know how you normally at conventions, I'm used to hugging people and picking up the babies and have them drool all over me, and so all that's out, and I just don't know how we I don't know how we do it. I'm sure we'll figure a way out, but it's I can't even imagine. I have no idea.
Yeah, it's I think that's the big unknown everybody's dealing with. And now you're talking about being back on set. You kind of mentioned some of the protocols. Is it adding a lot more time to the day? I mean, I know days on set are already, really long and stretched
Right.
out.
Well, yeah, we have to be. I had to be tested 3 times before I was allowed to come into the bubble. We call the bubble. They've have a number of houses where the cast and crew are put up in. It's a really nice house that I'm in, thankfully. But when we go on the set, and we're tested 3 times a week while we're shooting. We go on the set, we're sprayed down each time, 2 or 3 times a day. It's crazy. Everybody has to wear masks unless we're shooting. So they're really going out of their way. I think the fear is if they start a production and there's problems, everything's going to shut down again. So I can't go to the store I'm literally in this house until I go to the set. Now, I'm only going to be here for a couple of weeks, but the crew is going to be here for several months.
We're all trying to figure out, like for us, I work at a church. What does that look like? How do we make sure everyone's safe?
Right.
And for what you do, you go down, it causes quite the stir, for sure.
Yeah, I mean, the scenes, the schedule, if someone, has a problem, then, it's really, and they're constantly sort of rewriting and readjusting and moving things around. And so, yeah, it's just a very different time, and how that will affect. I also notice being when I've gone out to a store or to places, the usual, "Hey, Ernie, can I take a photo?" That's a little awkward because you can't do that. Nobody's willing to hold anybody else's phone or camera to take a picture. So it's a different time.
It is. And I feel like as things begin to open, because here in Orlando, a lot's open. Disney's back open. Universal is open. And
Right.
And it's retraining yourself how to be a person again and be kind to people again, because we're so distrusting right now. You even sneeze wrong, we're freaking out.
Yeah, no, that's true. I think at some point we probably will have to just open up if there's hopefully a vaccine. But if no, what I'd hope for is that we'd have just a good treatment. So if you got this, you know what to do. Right now, it's not even clear what you do other than stay home and cross your fingers and hope it's going to be okay. I mean, that's about it. Go to the hospital if it's extreme. But so I'd hope that they'd say, okay, we have a treatment. And then I think most people would say, okay, I'll take my chances. As long as I know if I get it, I got a good chance of not having anything severe. But because there's been so much confusion, we can't even point to like with a common cold. We know, okay, there's steps you do, take vitamin C, get some rest, whatever that is, how to deal with it. This is just totally confusing.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. And you kind of mentioned the misinformation and the distrust and it really is like that. You just stay at home and hope for the best, which is not great medical advice across the board.
No. And it's also unclear when they say, well, don't, gather, more than a few people. And yet you see these big gatherings.
Right.
And sometimes they say several came out of it. And sometimes you don't hear about anything coming out of it. And so then you begin to say, well, if they all got together and there was no problem, then what? So it's just very unclear.
I think in 5 or 10 years, we'll look back and we'll be like, oh, we didn't know anything. It was either much worse or way less than anybody knew. So
that's true. Yeah. In 5, 10 years, I'll be 100 if I'm lucky. So, it won't matter to me. So,
Ernie, we know you probably can't talk much about it, but we got to talk a little bit about the new Ghostbusters project. Obviously, it was supposed to come out in July. Now March, hopefully we'll make it.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah.
so you have been asked about a third Ghostbusters movie probably more than any human being in the world, including Ivan Reitman and Dan Aykroyd, because you're out there talking to the fans all the time. Um,
Right.
so when the announcement first happened and you got the script, was it kind of one of those like I can't believe this is actually happening moments, or did it take to getting on set till you believed it?
Well, it was. I think it was even before I got the script, and I got a call from Ivan Reitman and Jason. We talked, and then I know, okay, this is really going to happen because like you said, there's been so many announcements and so many things that fell apart until I just got. But even after, it wasn't until I got the script and read the script that I thought, okay, this is not only is it happening, but this is really good, and it's really in line with what the fans have been hoping for, and it's really ties into the first two movies. I like the movie with the ladies, but it was kind of a different take on it.
Right.
So that's when once we got I got the script, and yeah, that I began to get excited about it and felt like I knew something definite. But up until then, it was still if maybe and whatever.
Right, right. Yeah, and I think it's interesting. I mean, Ghostbusters is so associated, as a New York movie. Obviously, you guys shot up in Calgary. From the little we've seen, it looks more of a rural setting. So, I'm trying to dance around it so you don't, no one's getting in trouble today. Not on our watch.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
I don't know, just being on set for the first time, it had to be like one of those moments where you never really thought it was going to happen, and now it's happening. And I guess the anticipation of knowing what the fans are, that first thing you
Right.
see where you go, oh, they're going to like this.
Yeah. And like I said, when I read the script and for a long time, and in fact, they never officially said it was okay for me to mention it, but I think the fans know that obviously, we're back in the movie. So, but how much involvement and what the new cast and all that, I wasn't sure. But after just coming together, it was for me honestly, it was kind of like a spiritual get together. I mean, yeah, a movie that has had so much impact and meaning in my life, to go back into that was just it was emotional to me. To see Danny Aykroyd and Bill and it was very, very special. And it's a great new cast. I mean, people that I didn't know before, but I just seeing people work and seeing their ability and knowing that they're all bringing their best to it. And I think bringing what it deserved, not something that sort of was thrown together just for the studio to make some more money, but really Jason's just love of it and commitment to it. I was very touched by it.
To jump on that real quick, this is something that I've wanted to ask you or anybody who worked on the first movies. You work with different directors all the time. You've worked with Ivan Reitman. Is it 3 times total? Do you see similarities in a direction style from him and Jason, or is it a completely different approach, or maybe somewhere in the middle?
No, I think it's a very because a director directing is very personal. I mean, there's certain mechanics that you need to bring to the set. But it really is what you bring as an individual. How you relate to people, how you relate to the material, how you get people to do what you hopefully want them to do, how you command the set and all the production. And Jason is just a very different person than Ivan. Ivan had his way of getting things done, but Jason is I'm going to say this, and not that I'm implying that the other one isn't, but Jason is one of those guys that you want to show up with your best because you really like him a lot. I really like Jason. Knowing him as a kid, when we did the other movies, and seeing how he's developed as a director on his own, you just respond to him in a different way. And he's good at what he does.
Yeah.
So,
That's
but
great.
very different than his dad. But they're very different people.
Yeah, I can imagine.
Ernie, as a fan, hearing you say things like spiritual and emotional regarding this movie makes me so excited to see it. And when it was announced, it was a little bittersweet. You've spent a lot of time talking about Harold Ramis and how he was able to mediate and ground things on the set. And I just wanted to know what it was like to revisit this story and these characters after so many years, knowing that he couldn't be a part of it. Was it bittersweet for you?
Yeah, it was. Harold was, he was kind of like the glue that I felt. I mean, Ivan is a director, producer, and juggling a lot of things. Ivan was one of those people who, expect you to do what you should do. And it's, we're doing this and we're going to have fun, but, it's not a lot of pampering or any of that sort of thing. And Harold was the one, when things were moving a little, in a weird direction, just kind of pulled it all together and pulled everybody all together. He was always the one that you totally trusted. So to be there and not have him there, because his presence is so much a part of all of it. I mean, his input, just his stamp of all these characters. He was really, really, really missed. And it was very difficult not having him there. And but that's obviously we all have to make our transition, and you hope you have a great life. Harold had an amazing life, so it's not that, but it's just I would have loved for him to have been a part of that and seen it sort of reach a place where we're actually moving forward with the franchise.
Mm-hmm.
And I know that's something he always wanted to do.
Right.
Yeah.
Thank you for that. That was very very well said. I mean, obviously, anybody who talks about Harold Ramis, it has nothing but just he was the kindest, funniest, smartest person in the room, no matter what. So, Ernie, one thing before we kind of get towards the end here and wrap up, I got to ask you, we've got this Hasbro Pulse Cons coming up this weekend, and you're taking part in that. After almost 40 years, can you believe that you're still selling Ghostbusters toys and you're the spokesman? Because I know I'm going to be buying it. Look at I'm a grown adult, and what you're seeing is my house. So no shame here, but that's cool that you're participating in that.
Yeah, I mean, they asked me to, and like I said, I believe in the franchise. I'm probably the last guy because when we started the movie, I mean, Winston was sort of, he was kind of the guy who sort of slipped in the back door. I think the fans turn out to be so extraordinary and have just for years and years and years, I mean, over 30 years, I mean, and so, it's more for them, I think, than, the toys are great. And, to have something kind of in my image, that's all well and good. But I'm really, I see little kids who were like babies, and then they come back, 10 years later and they're in their teens. And it's whatever I can do. It's just great to be a part of it.
Good. Yeah, it's great. I mean, we love to everybody when the announcements come and we see that you're going to be taking part. We know it's going to be good and it's going to be fun. And I think, like I said earlier, you've been an ambassador and like you've really worked really closely with a lot of the franchises. I'm part of the Georgia Ghostbusters. We've had you at Dragon Con, and that's where you really start seeing the difference. I think it was 2013, 2014. You were at the front of the parade for Dragon Con in the streets of Atlanta.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
hopefully we can get back to something like that because
That would be great.
These virtual
and I got to
parades
say,
are
that parade is one of the best. I mean, I've done a lot of parades in the past, but Dragon Con, that parade, and I don't know how many cars we had and how many Ghostbusters, man. It was really just incredible.
Yeah, I think that year there was over 100 Ghostbusters and 7 Ectos of various cars. So a good showing for the Ghostbusters community here in Atlanta.
Yeah. And for me, I think probably when I came into the movie, I was at a different place in my career than Bill Murray or Danny or Harold. And so for me, I've always sort of looked at it in a very different way. I mean, it's a movie, but it's also kind of a part of me in a strange way. I mean, I've done a lot of movies and I've worked consistently over the last 50 years, but yeah, I feel like sort of the need to want to participate and to kind of give back. And I know a lot of times, a lot of people I've worked with, they don't feel it's like I did the movie and that's that. And, it's you kind of move on. And certainly you move on. But I also know that in a strange way, I'm connected in this movie along with all the fans who are also connected. And that's very, very special.
Yep, and you're phenomenal at it. You really are. Just the fact that you'd go to great lengths to bring your flight suit with you to conventions for photos and all the stuff you do on Cameo. You're so accessible and you're so great to humor us and carry that torch.
Well, it goes both ways. I mean, it really does. And it's fun for me. But the fact that people appreciate it, that it means a lot. And yeah, it definitely goes both ways.
Absolutely. Well, Tom, I'm going to give you the floor now to talk a little bit about the signing and kind of let people know, what's going to be happening and how they're going to be able to get some really cool Ernie Hudson signed memorabilia, 8x10s, all sorts of stuff. So go for it, my friend.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you, Craig. So orders are going to go live Friday. That's this Friday on our Facebook group. The Ghostbusters Containment Unit. You can search the Containment Unit. We collect spores, molds, and Ghostbusters autographs. We'll be taking orders through the end of October, maybe the first week of November. You can pre-order photos. We're hoping to have a Afterlife trailer sometime soon, maybe, so we can get an Ernie photo. Wink, wink. Hopefully. Or you can send in your own items, and Ernie is gracious enough to sign all those things for us. So get your orders in.
Yeah, we'll post all the links in the descriptions for the video and on the podcast feed. And yeah, I'm definitely going to be sending in some action figures to get signed. And I'm excited about that. And, Ernie, we're going to have you back on down the road. I mentioned Jake. He's not here with us, but he's the biggest Congo fan on the planet and has a huge Congo collection. And probably, you've had such a cool career, and you've worked with so many great actors and done so much cool stuff. And I think LA's Finest. I finally watched the first episode. It's I love that it's a Bad Boys. Keeping it in the Sony franchise family. I love it. I'm happy for you. I think it's awesome.
Yeah, no, it's a great series, and Gabrielle Union and Jessica Alba. I mean, they are so just so good, and yeah, it's been fun. I've had I love Congo. But I've been fortunate enough to work on some really things that I'm very, very proud of, and nothing that I'm totally embarrassed by. So it's really been a good career.
Very cool. Well, Tom and Matt, did you have anything else before we sign off?
No, just thank you, Ernie. Thank you for signing for our group for a second time. Thank you for allowing us to chat with you today. It's been a great experience for all of us.
Well, thank you guys. It's been a great experience for me as well. So you guys just take care, and keep on busting.
All right. Thank you. Ernie Hudson joining us today. Yes, have some in the containment unit. Stay tuned to all of our social media for all the information you need on the signing. And like Tom said, head to the Facebook group for the Ghostbusters containment unit and take advantage of these Ernie Hudson signed items. Very excited. Ernie, thank you so much.
Thank you, guys. Good talking to you.
Have a good one.
Bye.
Bye.